All right, welcome back everyone to this week's session of Galactic Reviews. It's been a bit, but we have finally got to see Wrath of Man with Jason Statham. Real brief synopsis. This is a very not family-friendly movie. It is rated R, it is an action movie, but it is very high on the not family-friendly rating scale.
And the R rating should give it away, but
Yeah, brief summary, everything that you get from the trailer is that this dude, don't know why, don't know how, where, what, but Jason Statham, his character, joins a cash truck company. The companies that go to the businesses and take the cash and transport it to where they need to go. They're the middleman that takes the cash from A to B. He joins as a bodyguard. And in the trailer, you see him just kind of kick butt with all these robbers that try to jump his cash truck. And you find out from the trailer as well that his son was caught in the crossfire of a cash truck heist and he wasn't able to save him. And he died and he woke up after getting shot himself. And now he's kind of like on a vengeful path to try to find the guys who killed his son. And he's doing so by going through the job itself. A very Taken-esque parent. I call these parent revenge movies.
I would say it's a mix between Taken and John Wick.
that's what I was
I was
about
going
to
to say.
say.
It's
I was about to say.
It's a parent revenge movie. You got John Wick with his dog and Taken with his daughter, and those are like the two most notable parent revenge movies. There was a mother one a while ago. Don't remember what it was called. Who wants to go first with what you guys thought of this movie?
All right. So, all in all, this movie was pretty good, actually. I would say it was a mix between John Wick and Taken. His son died just like his dog, and thus he just plotted out revenge. And it was just action. Not as much action as I thought it was going to have in it. But other than that, it was all in all really great. I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10.
Payson.
Yeah, much like what Zach said, this is a very good mix of both John Wick and Taken. From what you guys have said about Taken, I haven't watched the movie, but from what you guys have said and talked about Taken, sounds a lot like it. And
I'm going to talk about it later.
this had a lot of similarities from what you guys said about Taken and from what happened in John Wick. So there were good similarities. It was a great film. I can't talk about everything that I like because then I get into spoilers, but I did like this movie. It's one of those movies where I like it. I wouldn't mind seeing it again, but it's not one of my top picks to see again like right away. So I'll probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. Not to copy Zach, but that's what I was thinking.
So I haven't seen any of the John Wicks. All I know is the joke that this man goes on a killing rampage because somebody killed his dog. That's all I know about these.
And all I
Okay.
will say is they made a joke about it in the third movie. It's like you're doing all this because a dog died. You're killing hundreds of people because just a dog died.
But once you know the reason why, it's very understandable as to
Well, it kind of
why he's
becomes
doing.
stale by the third one, but that
I
doesn't
haven't
matter
watched the
right
third one.
now.
I watched the first one and I thought that was great. I didn't
The
think it
first
needed
was
a
great.
second one.
Again, like I haven't seen John Wick at all, but I have seen all of the Taken movies.
hmm
I thought this was a very good movie. It ended up being much more enjoyable than I had anticipated.
Yeah.
I thought this was just going to be another run-of-the-mill action movie. Lots of explosions, lots of shooting, but not really a good plot and characters and writing and jokes. But it ended up being decently funny at times, and the action was pretty good, and the story was more unique than I expected it to be. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely see it again, but
Why
as
would you
far
give this a 7 out of 5?
I was about to ask the same question.
7 out of 10,
It was that good. I did not know that.
Andrew's going
7
on his own scale again.
8.3. 7 out of 10. It was very good. I would definitely see it again, but when I think of my top action movies or whatnot, this just wouldn't pop in my mind. But it was very good, and I've got a lot to talk about on it. Go
So
see
this
this.
is kind of like what you were expecting for Marksman to be.
Yes, this is what I was
Yes.
expecting Marksman to be. That one
Yeah.
just flopped.
It really did.
Yeah, go see this movie if you haven't already. And if you have, get ready, because now we're going into spoiler territory. I want to
Okay.
start out with the unique thing that I thought or saw with that normally with these parent revenge movies, it's someone with like a military background or special training or bodyguard or something. And Taken, the dude was like a bodyguard for several years.
Wasn't he an ex-Marine or
Ex-Marine,
former?
something like that, like high level special forces
Yeah.
military. And then they're retired, and then something happens with their kid, and now they're back on duty, sort of thing. This was not that. We find out later that Jason Statham's character, H is what they call him throughout the whole movie, was actually a mob boss of a different gang that does cash truck heists. And the reason he was there was to scope out the route that cash truck company takes. And it just happened to be unlucky that another group of people so happened to be there. And then his son was caught in the crossfire. And then I just haven't seen this is a bad guy's revenge against different bad guys. And he's doing it by being a good guy. So
Yeah.
that was very unique. And that's what pushed the plot forward for me as far as how good it
I'll
was.
be honest, it took a long time for them to explain that, but the way they broke it up, it was in 3 or 4 sections,
It was
and they did
so
such a great job with that. It gave so much explanation. They gave just what you needed for each section to keep you invested. They did a wonderful job with that. When you finally figure out his son died, how he died, why he was there, and he's the type of person that just kind of holds all of his emotions in, doesn't show it, and then when he does show it, he just kills a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. He was very stoic the whole time, like not really any jokes. He made a couple of jokes,
I
but
mean,
it was
yeah.
more of like a you're gonna poke at me, so I'm gonna poke at you harder. But he was just very straight laced, like I'm not here for fun, I'm here for business, I'm not really here to make friends. And you started wondering why. And then you find out that he's on a war path. He just will not stop until he gets his revenge,
I will
which
be
ended up
honest.
being very sweet.
Yeah, some of the characters that died in this movie, I was kind of disappointed in.
Yeah. I didn't think everyone
I
had to have died, but everyone died.
no, I was expecting like 1 or 2 to live. Like, what's his name? The one that always wore the sunglasses.
Once they started going out, I was like,
Bloody John?
everybody's gonna die except for
Yeah,
him.
I was expecting him to, especially he got shot with a shotgun and still came up. I'm like, this dude's gonna make it. If he doesn't, he'll die from blood loss, which I'd be okay with. No, he
To be
died.
fair, the guy was stupid.
And then the girl, what was her name?
Dana?
I'm gonna take Andrew for all of his words.
On
I
the
was
truck.
expecting her to possibly make it.
And then the other guy
Dana's
that stayed with him in the truck. The
The
other guy
black
that
guy?
went out and started shooting because he was just antsy
Yeah.
and had all this adrenaline but didn't know what to do with it, which is essentially what happened to the sunglasses guy.
Well, no,
Boy
the
Sweat. His
sunglasses.
name is Boy Sweat. That's what his
Yeah,
name is.
Boy Sweat. The sunglasses guy. He thought that Bullet was going to help him, and instead he was just shot
No,
with a
I'm
lot of
talking about the
bullets.
beginning where he got shot with a shotgun. When Bullet came out, that would have been,
Mhm.
especially at
It
that
made the
time, you
most
didn't
sense
know.
for that
You did,
death. It was really disappointing that they died in that way, but it only proves the fact that he was an inside man, and he
Yeah.
yeah,
did not care about any of them except for the money.
they underused that angle, like especially when thinking about it, like especially after they knew that they were not gonna care if Bullet died or not. When they started shooting back at them, they should have used that to their advantage, which they did later on, but they probably should have started using Bullet to their advantage a little bit
I
in a
mean,
better
yeah,
way. But
I can see it.
granted, they still used it. I also didn't really expect the bad guys to be veterans that were all the secondary bad guys, but it made a lot of sense, especially with them
Yeah,
saying
it
they got cheated by the system, they were just thrown out, and they had to
and
take up these loose end jobs
mhm,
that they were doing, and they were tired of it because they had served their country, gotten all these skills, and got crap for it and never got much. I thought that was actually a good representation of how veterans are treated, but not so much how most veterans would go about fixing the problem.
yes.
Yeah.
Like how
Um,
Andrew said earlier, it in these movies you expect them to be former veterans or some sort of training, and
yeah,
instead of the main character being that, they made all of the core villains with that
secret
much
villains,
training
yeah,
and like that. Yeah.
And it made sense as to like why they couldn't find any info on it on his like 2 week rampage through all
because
the
they
underground
were
union.
very new. They were
Yeah.
like very, very new.
Not only
And
were they new, but they weren't even a gang. They were in
No,
it to
they were
do these
just
small
yeah,
jobs. They just disappeared. They
exactly.
didn't. They didn't
they did,
spread influence or get a
except that
market
one
out.
guy that was stupid enough to shoot the kid, even though they were like, "Why did you even shoot the kid?"
Yeah, he was in it. Yeah, he got twisted.
Yeah.
He was the guy that shot the two guards as well. So I mean,
Well, one of the
and
guards
they
did
did,
try to fight back.
yeah, true. I mean, I understand the shooting of the one guard that did fight back, but the other guard that was not even reaching for his gun,
At that yeah, at that
he was
point you
just
just shoot
shooting
the one guard, prove a point, and then
and
move
then
on.
leave the other guard. Well,
But
by that time he had already taken off his mask,
I
so
can't
he
even
needed to.
say I couldn't even say it was adrenaline. He was trained for the military. It was just bloodlust.
I was gonna
I
say
think
it
I think
was
the second guard was
military
just I
PTSD.
think the second guard was just pure instinct. You could kind of see how the kid on the ground was also because his mask was down and they could see his face.
To me, it looked like military PTSD.
Yes.
It really well could have been.
Like he was no longer a bank robber. He was in the middle of a firefight again, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
anyone he didn't recognize
100%
was
could
an
be.
enemy.
and it kept you really on edge as to why he was that way because he showed no remorse for it. He was the one of the group that was actually buying a lot more expensive stuff than necessary and was actually using the money way more.
Yeah, he was leaving a trail. He was being careless. It was just his personality, and
Yeah,
he not a good egg. He was the black sheep of the group.
it all lined up so perfectly so that
Yeah,
way he was the last one holding the cash.
And honestly, the way they took him out was so poetic, and they did a
Yeah,
was.
beautiful job with that
oh yeah,
execution.
I was hoping
certainly.
it would be dragged out more. I was because as the former mob boss, I was thinking he was gonna want his pain to last.
A little bit more, yeah.
But
But
after
then
that, I can
again,
understand
looking back,
just wanting it
he
over.
he just wanted it over. And if you noticed, most of the people he killed, he did it quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He did it
rest in peace,
without
Post
having them
Malone.
have any pain unless he wanted it to last a little bit longer.
unless he
Yes.
wanted information. And even then, once he got the information, he let them go.
Yeah, he wasn't a sadist. He did what he
Yeah.
needed to get what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Once he realized that Post Malone wasn't going to help him, he just put him out. Oh, it was so. Some of the jokes they had were so funny.
They were.
Oh, it was so good. I really liked how they broke it into parts. It made it seem less like an action movie and more like a drama action. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it would be a at this point it would be a drama in a way.
With the parts, like
Mm-hmm.
it was less of a action, the plot existing for the action, which happens a lot in movies.
hmm
What was it, like something in Hobbs? That's kind of what I thought of that movie, that the plot was just there for the action to facilitate the scenes. Where this one, it was the scenes were in between the bits that we got about the plot and the story. And it just happened to fit really well, and it ended up being a really good movie.
yeah,
I honestly don't really have any complaints for this movie. It's
no,
just a movie where I wouldn't, when I think of an action, it just wouldn't pop into my head.
It's not it's not best of the best. It's not a
No,
masterpiece,
but
but
it
it is
is unique.
far better than the average action movie that comes in the theaters.
and very well done. This
Yeah,
is
Yes.
this is a very well done movie in a time where a lot of movies aren't doing that well. They're not making movies that this great much more,
Then
and
again,
this is a very good movie.
they had great actor choices for
They
this
really
movie.
did.
And I'm not really surprised with how well they executed this movie.
I also like that one scene where there was a whole mob that he used to work for that was hitting a truck. He came out of the truck, and then they were like, "You know what? We're gonna leave." And
I think one of my
you
favorite.
did not get that until afterwards. But it's
Yeah,
like that is
that's why I'm like they did such a great part breaking it up into chapters or
spinning wide.
sections
Yeah,
That was
because
right
they would
before you found out his
yeah.
backstory
yeah,
and why
yeah.
they were scared of him.
They did a really good job with that.
The execution of this movie was phenomenal.
I think my favorite sequence of events was the he's coming in and saying you need a 70% like on the tests total to pass, making exactly a 70%, which I knew he was going to just barely get in when he started shooting, just because he was being inaccurate perfectly. And they emphasized it just enough where I could assume that was going to happen. But then the very first day, getting jumped in just 100% accuracy, like right between the forehead, just very casually, like this is a Tuesday for me. Not even trying, like fixing his belt and then shooting around. Oh, it was.
Yeah, I know.
And then the reactions.
I was watching a TV show with my parents the other day, and it was this guy. His goal was just to get by in life. He was an absolute genius. Decides just to get by in life on the base level of everything, but cause as much chaos as possible. And that's pretty much what he did in this movie. Just get by, but cause as much chaos as possible.
And then how they slowly lined up some of his actions that seemed weird or off later on in the movie.
And just explained them.
I have nothing else to say. It was a very, very good movie. Go see it if you haven't seen it. If all our spoilers now have enticed you to go see it, please go see it. It's very good. I'll go see it with you. Text me. Before we say anything else, I do want to say make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. We do this for fun, but we do put some work into it.
All right. We can't forget Kronk. All right. Let's be honest.
Kronk.
It's gotta be
Boy Sweat.
I was gonna say it's either H for there's few moments he had, or Boy Sweat.
Probably Boy Sweat, I'm going to say.
Yeah, Boy Sweat is really the only one besides H that I can think of.
Boy Sweat wins. Kronk not Kronk. H gets honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Let's be honest. H would be the Yzma. All right. Well, thank you guys again for sticking with us and watching this. Join us next week when we watch the Peter Rabbit Part 2, The Runaway.
Just make your dreams come true. Nothing is impossible. Make your dreams